Welcome everybody back to the TheDomCast, episode 27. This is being recorded on Friday, August 30th. I am in Florida, unfortunately probably in the path of a hurricane. By now, you know the funny thing about being a Floridian, being local to Florida, is everyone else is panicking, Twitter is panicking, everybody's panicking. You know what, okay, let me rephrase that. Central Florida, the middle, Orlando, that's where I reside. I'm not on the coast. People on the coast, you know, they definitely have a reason to be afraid of things like this, but having gone through this for like a decade plus now, this always happens. It's always right by my birthday we get like the first hurricane of the year. Always. So back when I was in school, of course, we would get a extended weekend. We would get like 4 or 5 days off because just precaution, right? You can't have people out here blowing away in the wind just in case shit does really hit the fan. But I saw a meme while I was on Instagram and it was like, I'm from Florida. This hurricane has to prove to me that it's coming. And that's so true. I have been so unbothered because I told y'all I've been on a social media break, or really just changed how I used it, so I've been so oblivious. That's probably a bad part about all this, right? I've been oblivious. I looked for like the first time yesterday and I see they say, oh, it could strengthen to a category 4. I was like, holy shit, last time I looked, I heard it was a tropical storm. But, you know, historically being in Central Florida, the hurricane always ends up turning a little bit. We barely ever get direct hits. We're on high ground, we're not near the beach, so flooding isn't a problem. And then by the time, if it does really hit us, by the time it gets to Central Florida, it's significantly weaker than when it hit the coast. So yeah, I don't know why I felt the need to explain my unbotheredness to you, but I don't know, hopefully I didn't jinx anything. Hopefully everything I own is still here by next week. If you're on the coast, of course, take care of yourself. I'm not saying if you're in Florida, just brush this off. If you're on the coast, if I was on the coast, I would have been gone the first time I heard about this, because I've seen some pretty bad things happen to like beach towns and all that. But being in Central Florida, and you know, going through this for so many years, it's like, look, if we get to the day before and they're like, yeah, it's coming towards you, then I get a little bit worried. But when they're talking about like 5 days from now, I'm like, okay, cool. So yeah, hopefully I'm not dead by the time this goes up, because that would be a massive L, sitting here talking shit about a potentially fatal storm, and then that's my cause of death. That would be a massive L. You would just have to put a L on my grave. Anyways, no real news going on in the NBA world. The only like drama going on right now, the only news really going on has been surrounding DeMarcus Cousins and his personal life. I'm not really gonna get into it because it's his personal life. His life definitely seems to be in a downward spiral over like the last 2 years, and it's hit a really bad point with the news that's come out this week with the arrest warrant and that phone call with his girlfriend. It's just at a really bad place, so not even gonna dive too deep into that. Got some USA basketball going on finally, and like the next couple of days the actual games will start, so there'll be something to watch before you know, I've been sitting here slandering September and August for a long time, but low-key September we're gonna have the FIBA games and then we're gonna have NBA 2K, so that takes us right until October where we have the preseason. So basketball is slowly but surely seeping its way back into our lives. Of course, I'm going to try to catch as many of the FIBA games as I can, because Team USA will not just be rolling over everybody this year. There's already been some questionable results to their games. Of course, the thing where they supposedly lost to a D-League roster in scrimmaging, and then they went and lost to Australia, which broke some crazy streak. So yeah, that's not really news. I just wanted to make a mention of that. We do, however, have 2K news. 2K Day is in 7 days. Yeah, 7 days from the day I'm recording this. Hopefully my local GameStop is still standing. If this hurricane really does happen to be so strong that it comes to Central Florida at like a Cat 4 or something like that, I would hate to have 2K Day ruined next week. I've been waiting for quite a while. And as we get closer, I'm starting to ask myself why I have been waiting. You know why? Because, of course, everyone was waiting for park news and it finally hit. Every time Twitter, or 2K, the 2K Twitter account, every time they would post something, some type of news about the game, everybody was in the comment section, cool, where's the park news? Park news, park news. Oh god, that was so toxic. That community is so toxic. Nevertheless, I get why it's so popular. Of course, you get to take your My Player and go online and play with other My Players. That's a really cool thing. Like, if we're sitting here 10 years ago talking about a feature like the park, that sounds like something me and my friends would have been talking about as like a feature we would want in the future. So I get the popularity. I'm not here to be the fun police, but it seems that people are disappointed with the news. They dropped the trailer on Twitter, what was that, 2 or 3 days ago? Said something about Park Rep being back. I've never been, the only time I've really played Park, I promise you, was NBA 2K14, so I am so lost as to what any of this even means. I never use it. Like I said, I don't have friends to play it with, so I never really get on. But apparently that's a big deal, but that's like the only thing that I heard anybody really talking about. Everything else, it looks like the park is a remix or a makeover of NBA 2K19's neighborhood. And I have some thoughts about that. First of all, if you have not seen it, the 2K park will now have changing seasons, and that is something that people mentioned. It's so funny, right? Because in the thread, when they were talking about it and they were highlighting that feature, I saw people saying, oh, who asked for this? Who wanted this? But that is a thing that people wanted. People legit always said, oh, the weather should change. Oh, why does this never change? Why does it always look the same? Why isn't it like real life outdoors? That is a thing people used to mention, and now they have it and they don't care. But you know, I do kind of get it. I do get where they're coming from. I think it's because that seems to be like the main feature that they were pushing with this. Other than park rep, that was like the biggest highlight of the trailer, is that during Halloween, you're gonna have the pumpkins. During Christmas, you're gonna have the snowmen and the snow, I'm assuming. I don't know if the courts are actually gonna be snowy themselves. But yeah, the look is always going to be changing. And that was really what they emphasized. Then they showed some guys riding around on like a tricycle. There's going to be a wall of fame where I guess if you get your player up to 99, his name will go there. You can have a book bag. I'm not sure what the book bag actually means yet. And then they showed off a lot of the events. Now, there's no denying it. This is basically a remix of NBA 2K19's park. It's the same. It's just different coats of paint on it. It almost feels like stuff that they maybe could have done with like DLC. But if you go back to a podcast from 2 or 3 weeks ago, this is not at all out of expectation, because we were talking about the impending release of the PlayStation 5, possibly being holiday season 2020. And so when I thought about that and I saw how the park is essentially a remix, I thought to myself, why have I been anticipating the release of NBA 2K20 so much? I guess it's because I'm a YouTuber and it gives me new content, it gives me new things to go off of, new teams, new players. There's new videos to be made, so that's always exciting. 2K Day is exciting regardless. But then I kind of thought to myself, NBA 2K21 is really the big news here from where we stand. And the fact that they basically just remixed the park, to me that's a hint that they're probably already working on something big for NBA 2K21. Now you may come back to this next year and I may sound like a fool because maybe the PS5 isn't even until 2021, right? We don't actually have word yet, but there is a great chance it is going to be here a little over a year from now. And so if that's the case, you already know that they have a lot of resources going towards that game. And it would make sense as to why they didn't introduce a whole new park, an entire rebranded thing, in the final game of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One's life cycle. Now, I also, you know, the neighborhood is such a big thing. It's such a big environment that it also, even if there is going to be no NBA 2K21 on the PS5 next year, it still doesn't surprise me that they didn't change the park that much, because think about the park changes that we've had. In 17 and 18, they gave us the exact same course, which I thought was just lame and lazy as hell. They were the exact same. It was just nighttime. That was almost insulting. Then we go to, I'm sorry, 16 and 17. That's what I meant to say. 16 and 17, the same exact parks. Then you go to 18 where you have the neighborhood one, and then you go to 19 where they reorganize it a bit. So that's what they did. They reorganized it. They put the court in a place where they thought it was going to be better, because people didn't like having to like walk through the entire neighborhood to get to the courts, or whatever the issue with that was. They just redesigned it. So at best, I thought they were just going to redesign the neighborhood again. That was at best. I did not really expect a total redo anyways. It would have been nice, but I see why they didn't just completely scrap this asset that they have right now and rebuild it from the ground up. But with that being said, I would have hated to be one of the people in the park community that was so awaiting this feature and awaiting the news, because yeah, it is essentially a reskin. Now, I guess opinions probably vary on the events, because they showed a lot of different events. We saw race cars there, which I was watching another YouTuber and they were saying you were actually going to be able to like participate in that. Are we really going to be able to take our My Player and actually race? I know you're going to be able to do dodgeball and different other mini games, so maybe you can actually race as well. And look, opinions probably vary with this type of stuff, okay? For me personally, my personal preference, I enjoy in my basketball game when 2K does different things. So in NBA 2K7, they had their whole theme for that game was just kind of arcade-ish. From the opening with that orange ball flying through the city, and then you had those buildings, and then you had the crib. So it kind of seemed like NBA 2K7 took place in that whole city backdrop. It was just kind of like a cool extra thing that they threw in there. Of course, the PS3's capabilities were nothing like the PS4, so after the crib, that was really kind of it. But I always liked when there was extra stuff in the environment. So in this thing where people are joking and saying like GTA released a basketball game, I think I saw that tweet. People are having all kinds of jokes about it. I personally just enjoy this type of stuff. It's just a preference for me. I like this type of stuff when it's like I have 2K and I have basketball and I can go play online and do all this other stuff, but then there's like almost a whole like separate game in here as well. I think that's cool. Now, that being said, I understand why other people are kind of like get to the point, right? They look at this and they're like, oh, I'm supposed to be happy about some cars. I'm supposed to be happy about this new shop that they have. I get why they're probably frustrated, and it's because there's other issues that need more attention. And you're also probably wondering, with 2K's track record, is this stuff even going to work properly? So in the dev diary, one of the things that's been stressed is that they have apparently worked on the servers this year. You know, we cry for servers every single year, and 2K has been notorious basically all my life for having terrible servers. I've always wondered how, like how do I play Battlefield, right? I can get on Battlefield and play with what, like 60 something players and not lag at all. I've never experienced Battlefield lag. And if I did, it's never been consistent like it was with 2K throughout my life. But then I would get on 2K with people and play online, in a simple game, a 1v1, they would consistently drop as recently as NBA 2K19. One of the reasons I did not play Now Online at all this year, one of the big reasons, is because when I first opened the game, opening night, like the first couple of days, I couldn't play people online without it randomly dropping for no reason. And it wasn't my internet, because in NBA 2K18 I had no problems. NBA 2K18 was actually a pretty good year as far as just playing other people online. Then I got to 2K19 and randomly out of nowhere you would get that little countdown, you know, when it says waiting to establish connection or something like that. And then after that little screen goes away, then the game kind of fast forwards to whatever point that your opponent made it to, because apparently you guys weren't both seeing that dialog box on your screen. That would happen for like 30 or 40 seconds until the game would quit, and that happened consistently. So that's just one of the server problems you run into with 2K that actually took out a whole mode. Back into the days of NBA 2K9, go look up Chris Smooth's video. He made a video about how when they first introduced that all-star team up, or just team up in general, where 10 people could control 10 individual players. You guys already know what team up is. And yeah, when NBA 2K9 dropped, that was one of the biggest selling points. That was one of the things as a kid when I looked on the case, or when I looked at what the new features were for 2K, because I used to have to wait for 2K. I was excited as hell to get that, and I went over my friend's house and I tried. Oh goodness, I have this picture in my head of watching him play it and watching it lag every 5 seconds. Like you couldn't move. So anyways, I just went off on a tangent I didn't even need to go off of. The point is 2K has always had server issues. They said they're gonna work on it this year, that they have worked on it this year, and they've like wrote different code. But people are kind of right to be skeptical of all this stuff that is added to the park, because you wonder, is all this stuff even going to work when there is an event? I remember the whole Park After Dark thing, and I didn't take part in it, but people said it didn't work. I didn't expect it to work. I expected that to be a straight flop. Apparently it was. And so now you're supposed to have like a whole damn NASCAR match going on in the back of your park games. People wonder, with all the different players on screen and different connections, is that going to work? And they rightfully wonder that. We know this stuff can work. Do you guys remember PlayStation Home? I used to love PlayStation Home when I was a kid, and it was comparable to what you're seeing in these events. There was a bunch of different things going on with a bunch of different people. Some people are on like a roller coaster over here, some people are shopping over here. There was like a million different things going on in the social space. Look, I don't know anything about the technical side of video games or servers, but I just feel like I've seen more complicated things happen in a game than what 2K tries to accomplish and have historically failed at. So ultimately we just have to wait and see. I like these little mini features. I like the whole idea of getting on during Christmas break, because I'm a real big holiday person. I like the idea of playing basketball at the park and there's going to be snow everywhere and things like that. Just kind of like how GTA 5 does. Grand Theft Auto 5, I don't know, during the holiday season or on Christmas Day, I can't remember exactly when, but they have snow all in their map. I just like little details like that. I'm a detail-oriented person. I like things like that. But I can totally get why just people in the park community would not give a shit. They're like, what about the gameplay? What about the small forwards this year? The small forwards are apparently a big problem. They want to know how that's going to be fixed. Hey, I'm wondering about the actual gameplay problems, and not even that. The fact that they haven't addressed Play Now Online at all. So kudos to the features that they're adding. You know, I can't wait to try them out and see if they actually work. But how have they not even mentioned something like Play Now Online? You know what? Let's step back a little bit. MyLeague Online. I don't know who plays MyLeague Online. I have never even tried to organize that. I just don't have time to be coordinating with other people, because it would have to be randoms, because again, I don't have friends that play 2K anymore. But yeah, I've never even thought about coordinating that. But apparently that mode, I know in NBA 2K19 was totally broken. Apparently the server issues just made it unplayable. service could not handle it, and I always hear bad things about MyLeague Online. The only news I heard about MyLeague Online this year was, we've made fixes so that people can play it. That's all I heard. That is unbelievable. They had to tell y'all, yeah, this mode that has been in our game, now you can actually play it because we fixed it in this next release. That's crazy. That was the biggest news I heard about it. But then I hear nothing about Play Now Online, and I know they don't care because that mode doesn't make any money. There's nothing to sell in Play Now Online. It is an archaic mode because this is something from back in my day, back 10 years ago before we had my career. We would just play other people online. That was how we had fun. Gaming has moved. People have moved on to more complex things. My team exists now. No one cares about just straight up 1v1. Let me take my team and play yours. Nobody cares. I get it. But part of the reason nobody cares is because this mode has been systematically destroyed since, it's been broken since they introduced it. I have tape of in NBA 2K16, I think I was the LA Clippers and I'm playing the LA Clippers, and that, Play Now Online was introduced that year, so that was the first year where you straight up could not see who your opponent was picking. That problem still exists today. It's never been addressed, it's never been fixed. How does something that basic, do they think that we have fun with that? Do they think that is a fun experience for anybody? Like, how many of you have ever gone to your friend's house and y'all both picked the same team and y'all were seriously competing? Who's ever done that? Do the majority of us do that? No, that's something if you're just fucking off, basically you do. But that is something that regularly happens online. Another regular occurrence is having a really sorry team, like a tier 3 team, like the current day Hornets, and then you can run into an all-time team. Why has that not been fixed? Why has that not been addressed? Why has the tier system that made everybody quit playing this mode last year not been addressed? Nothing has been addressed, and a week out from the game, it leads me to believe it's going to be more or less the same. It seems like Play Now Online is still going to be there. It's still going to have the same tiers. It's still going to have the whole blocking system where you're not going to be able to see who your opponent's picking. It seems like it's going to be more of the same, maybe with a tweak. NBA 2K19's tweak was the tiers, and then the fact that they did that thing, the player control. I don't know whoever used that. So they're probably going to tweak like 1 or 2 things and throw it back to us. That sucks. I would love to actually have the ability to make Play Now Online videos, entertaining Play Now Online videos, or at least be able to play it and have fun so that I could use it for background footage in like a barbershop talk or even here. It's a mode where it's not just about it not being fun, it's really unplayable. I run into an all-time team and now I have to close my whole application and start the game up again and take like 5 more minutes to start the game up and hope I find a fair match. Simple things like that. Why can't I back out of a match that makes no sense? But it hasn't been addressed, and all this brings me to my I guess this may be a separate topic. I don't know if I'm gonna separate this into time markers, but like, why do I make 2K videos? Why do I buy 2K every year when I know that there's things like this that just kind of seem to be bred from indifference? It's like they don't care about this type of stuff. Yet I'm going to full on admit to you, every year it is a ritual for me. I get the biggest edition of 2K that I can get. Of course, I'm on my own now. I buy my own things. When I was a kid, I did not always get the special edition. In NBA 2K10, I cannot tell you how bad I wanted that locker. Do you guys, if you don't know about it, Google it. NBA 2K10 was actually the first special edition 2K, I believe, and it came with like a locker for you to store your 2K games in. It came with like a Kobe Bryant figure. Oh, I wanted that so bad. I was not only did I not get it, but I had to wait until my first report card that year to actually get it as a gift. So I got 2K10 probably in a little while after it came out. I don't know, because they changed the release dates every year. I got it a while after it came out, but ever since I've been able to afford my own things, I always buy the Max Edition, the Legend Edition. I collect the posters. In my apartment right now, I have the 16 through 19 posters hanging up on my wall. I love the posters. I still have my NBA 2K13 Special Edition in mint condition, the whole box with everything in it. When I had the earphones, the packaging that I opened it out of, I still think I have that packaging inside there. I have the receipt. I have all this stuff. So I give 2K my money every single year, even though I know there are things that I care about that they apparently don't. Even though I have seen blatant examples of them being money hungry. Even though I've seen blatant examples of like, man, this thing should work, this simple thing should work, and it doesn't, and it's not addressed. And those problems probably come from the fact that most of their community is like that. Understand, if you're somebody that's boycotting 2K this year, if you're on that train, You have to understand, you are not the majority. We are the majority, the people that buy this every single year. Maybe not the ones that buy the Legend Edition. I do that just because I can, because I want to keep collecting 2K until I'm not here anymore. That's where I was going with this. 2K is an event for me every year, and it's been that way since before I used to profit off of it, before I used to make videos off of it. It's just kind of stuck with me, you know. I can think back to 2007, 2008, going up to Atlanta and playing 2K with my cousin. That's really kind of how I got introduced to it. Sorry, that was a lie. My brother had NBA 2K5, and from back then, NBA 2K5 was a better game than NBA Live 2005 in terms of gameplay. Of course, Live 2005 had like the arcade feel to it. You had the All-Star Weekend, so they were better at features. NBA Live was still better at certain things, but I distinctly remember playing NBA Live 05 and then maybe like a day later going to play NBA 2K5, and I was like, huh, this one feels better. The gameplay in this feels better. It almost looked better too from what I remember. And so yeah, once I started buying 2K, I never stopped. I played it a lot throughout school, throughout the weekends. That's what me and my friends did. You know, throughout every year in my life basically, starting from NBA 2K8, so that would be 2008, all the way from then on, I have so many 2K memories. And so in me, they have a loyal customer for that reason, because I'm always going to buy it for the off chance that it's going to be an amazing year like I remember having. And see, the biggest thing I think is also their competitor. They destroyed their competition. When I started playing basketball games, there were 3 here. There was the NBA The Life series, which is what I actually had when the PS3 first came out, so that was NBA 07. Then there was NBA Live, then there was 2K. 12 years later, and there was only one. They destroyed everybody else. Everything about a basketball game, they did better than everybody else. Take NBA Live for instance. Where is NBA Live 20? Do you know? I haven't heard a word about it. I don't know if it's coming out this year. All I heard was a rumor that Luka Doncic was going to be the cover athlete. And that was just a rumor. That was months ago. That's all I've heard. Now, I get it. This whole thing about you don't have to be a yearly release, because a lot of people wish that 2K was not a yearly release anyways. But the problem is that sometimes NBA Live is not a yearly release. They take these random hiatuses, or they just disappear for a while and they come back and the game is still miles behind 2K. And the bigger problem here is NBA Live has been struggling like this all decade. All of the 2010s, they have been struggling this same exact way. NBA Elite 11, do you guys remember that? That was supposed to be NBA Live's new mantle. That was what they were going to. Do you remember the jokes? Do you remember the statue of Andrew Bynum? The one where, or what do they call it? The Jesus glitch, where he would T-pose just randomly in the middle of the game? And how terrible NBA Elite looked? That was at the top of the decade. Here we are, about to go into 2020, and still, whenever they do release, the first thing we look at is, man, this does not seem like a modern basketball game. It just never does. And so what are we supposed to do? What am I supposed to do, right? Because literally, I'm not a 2K fanboy, right? Fanboy implies that a fanboy is somebody who can't admit something is wrong. And that's really all I do with 2K. I point to their flaws maybe even more than their successes. But I am definitely a loyal fan and a loyal customer, because at a base level, I've had some fun with every single 2K throughout this decade and since I was a child. At a base level, I could literally go right now in part of this podcast and take you from 2K8 all the way to 2K19 and tell you something I loved at some point in time throughout the year about every game. Something that I'm going to remember forever. And 2K8 having ranked lobbies online where I could play people one-on-one. I met some of my friends that way. I met a PlayStation friend that way that I still talk to. We're friends on Facebook. We met literally in an NBA 2K8 lobby playing each other. We would go on like every other day. He would still be there and we would chat, and eventually we became friends. 2K9, the way that they had online set up and how you could see where you actually stood in terms of other people. I'm not going to go through every 2K, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm just showing you how far my memories stretch back with them. So honestly, until they start fucking up like NBA Live, it'll be hard to get people like me, who I assume are the majority here because the numbers don't lie. 2K sells a lot every single year. I assume we're the majority where we are going to buy this game until they fuck up like NBA Live. And they do fuck up sometimes. The illegal screens this year, that is a stain on NBA 2K19. I had to go to the links of playing it because I play it on PC, right? I had somebody send me a patch, and the patch brings the game back to a version where illegal screens weren't a problem. I had to go to that far of links to actually just play the game offline because I couldn't do it anymore. But at a base level, they're on their P's and Q's, and nobody else is. There is no other NBA game on the market that is on their P's and Q's. They're just not. I tried NBA Live 19 last year. I played it, and something as simple as the way the jerseys look. look. The spacing of the numbers on the jersey are not accurate. The writing on the jersey is not accurate. When 2K releases something that's just a detail, we go, okay, cool, what about the gameplay? We don't care about this detail. We ignore that they're doing things that other people just don't, they're just not able to. They have not proven to be able to. And by other people, NBA Live and then NBA The Life. All these little details that we just kind of ignore, those are things that those franchises were not able to get right. And that's why one of them isn't here anymore. And that's why the other just kind of randomly disappears and comes back and they're still not as good. And so as long as they have this monopoly, nobody's gonna boycott it. People have too much fun with this game. Obviously it pisses them off. Obviously there are problems every year, but people are going to buy it and they're going to play it, and maybe it's gonna die at some point in the year. NBA 2K18 actually did die. Do y'all remember they had to send emails out and ask, why did you stop playing NBA 2K18? The park, that was the first year with the neighborhood, which looked like the best feature 2K had ever released, and it was dead by, what was that? When did I make that video? That was like May or June, right? People were already kind of done playing it. And it's going to die every year, and it's still gonna sell a hell of a lot of copies. The number of people that are passing on 2K this year, the number of people that are saying, I'm just not gonna buy it, or I'm not gonna get it until like next year when it's marked all the way down, that number is, I don't think it's anywhere near the amount of people that are going to have this thing like in the first couple of months. I just don't. Especially these days, you know what really stops a boycott even more now than it would have like when I was playing it as a kid? Now people play this all the time with their friends in different modes, so not just one-on-one. That's what me and my friends used to do. No, people get online and they want to go to the park together. They want to have a squad, so people go to high school together. They want two of their other friends to go, you know, get on the park and wear the same clothes and go wreck other squads. That's something that people want to do. People want to play Pro-Am together. That game is such a social event now as well that it's pretty much a domino effect of friends buying it, or so your friend has it and they want to play, y'all both like basketball. What is someone, especially at a younger age, what are they to do? They're just gonna say, no, I'm not getting 2K this year, man, I'm boycotting. They gotta do better. Especially when they don't think they're not gonna really have an effect on the sales like that. Nah, man, they about to hop right back on the park. Quit bullshitting. Anyways, I think that's my whole 2K discussion for today. I was gonna touch on my team. I already made a video about all the new stuff there. Apparently people are upset with it. I didn't know, but I'm going through YouTube and I see a couple of videos suggested talking about my team this year being a casino, and even Shake and Bake, I saw him tweet about the backlash. Again, I didn't see it, but apparently there is. And I thought what they did with my team, unless I just didn't look hard enough from the dev diary release, I thought they added a lot of cool things. But again, the details of it, the whole casino thing and the backlash, I have not looked into that, so I can't really speak on it as much. And yeah, honestly, that'll probably be it today. I don't really have any other general life things because it is my birthday. I am trying to get out and enjoy some of the day. I'm doing this kind of early, so the links to this will be for iTunes and Spotify. That is always in the comment section and the description as usual. So if you want to listen while you're on the treadmill at the gym or on the way to work or school, whatever, that might be easier to do there than it is on YouTube. Yeah, the links are right there for you. Oh yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next Saturday. Oh God, do you hear that? Oh my goodness. Oh, I might not be safe.